Welcome to our YouTube channel. In this video, we will show you how we turn this pile of wood into amazing floors for our home.
We bought these old bleachers at an auction. They came out of schools.
We bought our house. Most of the carpet is from 1984.
My mama is the one who found the wood at auction for us, and when we won it, she took it home and stored it in one of her barns at her house. Slowly, we picked up a truckload at a time and took it to our house to begin working on our floors. It's definitely a work in progress. Right now, we're working on the living room. The gray we currently have is just painted subfloors. We've been using that since the precious pup in the photo started tearing out our 1984 carpet just a few years ago.
We bought the boards. They were 18 to 22 feet long. We had to cut the boards to about 13 feet to drive them home in our truck.
This worked really well for us because we did not want the boards laid in a pile.
It's been really fun to read what other kids wrote on these boards. The amount of gum on these boards is unbelievable.
The edges of the boards are kind of rounded so that kids wouldn't hurt themselves as they sat down and slid around on them, and we had to cut those edges off. The edges are called bull noses. We learned that cutting a straight line without a table saw is not the easiest thing to do, so a friend of ours helped us out by cutting the bull noses off for us using his table saw. One of the things that we love about the boards is that it is so thick. It will be able to be refinished many times.
Now it's time to get chewing gum off.
It's easier to get the gum off when it's colder because when it's hot outside, it makes the gum all gooey. And when you sand it, it also makes it gooey.
We started with the real coarse sandpaper because the boards had a real thick coating on them and we wanted to be able to get it off quickly. Then we moved on to a finer sandpaper just so that it would take the stain or the sealant more evenly. We chose to sand each board individually before laying it so that we wouldn't have to empty out entire rooms at once. This way we could just do a board at a time and lay it as we went and as we had time to work on it. We also chose not to take out every imperfection. We liked the variations in the board and we thought it gave it a lot more character and still told a story if we left a little bit of its history on the boards. Tyson's been doing a lot more sanding for our family because the sanding causes a lot of extra inflammation in my body. We also had a family friend come and help us sand some just to get some extra boards done quickly so that we could really get going on this project. Before we purchased the bleacher wood, we had looked into using plywood cut into strips as flooring. There's a lot of awesome YouTube videos out there about how to use plywood as flooring, and it's another great and inexpensive option. Here we are switching to a finer grit sandpaper so we can prepare the boards to be sealed. There is a link in the description below for the sandpaper that we're using and also for the tools that we're using to sand with. There is a link in the description below for the polyacrylic water-based sealant that we chose. We chose this because it was less toxic than some of the other options and also pretty cheap. Some of the boards do have some flaws in them, so we either have cut those out or we place them against a wall or in a place that's less obvious in our room. We are a homeschool family, so lots of breaks are taken when we're working on projects like this to get our schoolwork done. It's hard sometimes to focus on our school when there's such exciting things going on, but we know we have to keep it a priority.
When we get to where an air vent is, my brother gets a skill saw and cuts out the shape of the air vent so we can still have it flow. Nora, Mason, and I are playing a game where you have to hold on to the swing and jump over the wet boards. While it's a fun game, it is kind of risky because if you touch them, it can mess up the board. One of our next videos is going to be about our best kid gift ideas, and this is definitely one of them.
It was a challenge to decide how to install these boards. We finally decided that the best thing to do would be to mimic the holes that were already there. The holes that came in the boards once had bolts through them to attach them to the bleacher frames. We decided to drill holes the same size and drill them down about 3/4 of the way. That allowed us to screw the boards in without the screw head being close to the top of the wood. That way we could plug the wood with dowel rods and still have plenty of room to sand the boards down for years to come. Since our kids have learned to ride bikes in our house, roller skate, and even skateboard around the kitchen island, we know that there'll be a lot of wear and tear on these floors in our home. We think that when the kids are grown, we will probably want to refinish them for ourselves one day. These floors are so thick though that they could be refinished countless times before they run out of life. So far, we have bought the wood at auction, traveled many miles with it, cut the bull noses off, popped the gum off, sanded them down, put a clear sealant on them, cut them to the length we needed, and screwed them to the subfloor. We often say that we life school instead of saying that we homeschool because we want to teach our kids as many life skills as possible. It's okay, keep going. It'll go. You can put your foot on the board if you don't want it to pop up.
Let's sit past my foot up.
That'd be funny. That's good. Now here's your next. In fact, I think my absolute favorite part of doing these floors and having these floors and working on these floors is the fact that my kids get to learn so much, be a part of it, experience it, make memories, and also just obtain all these awesome skills they will be able to use for the rest of their lives. And for that, I am so very thankful.
My favorite part of doing the boards was using the drill.
I am thankful that the children love working on these projects with me. Here Mason is showing you how he hammers in the dowel rod plugs. Nora is working on them in the kitchen as well. After the plugs are in, we use a stain pen to stain the tops of the dowel rods so they blend in better. Not all the plugs are in at this time. Cutting the dowel rods into plugs is pretty time consuming, so we'll work on that as we get a chance. So, what do you think? Here are our new floors. We hope you love them as much as we do.
In spite of us breaking drill bits and cutting boards the wrong length, we still finished our living room floor.